Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Paul from Prior Witness. Hope you're having a fantastic day today. Real quick, I just want to get into this. Can the MX5 do this lovely guy right here? Well, this is my bass anyways. This is a Fender or Squier precision bass. It's the cheap guy, but it does the job. It gets the job done. And for a lot of us who are guitar players, we have the MX5, and we get or whatever multi-effect unit that we have, and we get that with the sole purpose of we're going to play guitar on it. But then when we're recording, we need this guy, to record. So how do we do that? The MX5 can do that. It can do a lot of different bass amps, a lot of different effects. We're going to take you down to the pedal board here. I'm going to show you how it's done. There's 2 amps and 1 preamp that I'm going to show you. There's a plethora of amps, though, and effects there on the MX5. Most notably, you have the Ampeg, the SVT 300 watt, which is the one we're going to be using. You also have the Galen-Kruger, the 400R, which is how it's identified on the MX5. It's mimicking the 800RB. And then finally, you also have the Dark Glass Microtubes B7K Ultra V2 bass preamp, which is notified as B Distortion 7000 under the Distortion tab. There's a few other amps that the MX5 can do, such as it emulates the B15, for example, from Ampeg. I also count the Tweed bass, the Bassman from Fender. It's also got that on there, too. It's got a lot of options on there as well. So we're going to dive into all that. I'm going to be using the same cabinet setup. You're going to be hearing some different sounds here and there, and that's the whole point, but it's also to show you all the capabilities that it has as well. But we're going to be using an 8x10. It's called the Blue Line on the MX5, which is emulating an Ampeg SVT 8x10, the Jihuji size cabinet. I'm going to be miking it using the dual cab. On one cab, it's got the Ribbon 121 on it, which is simulating the Royer 121, and on the other one, you got the SM57, which is shown by the Dynamic 57 on the MX5. So let's get in there. Let's get going. All right, so now that we're down here in the depths of the pedal here with the MX5, let me show you some of my settings. So right off the bat, I want you to notice my my split out here on my signal chain. We've got it split up here, and the reason for that is because we want a dry signal going all the way through into our cab unit from the amp into the cab whenever we're executing any kind of distortion or anything like that. The fuzz is at the beginning. Even the fuzz, well, heck, let's just play it real quick. So this is what the fuzz sounds like engaged. Drop D, by the way. And then here's my real fuzz. It's a JHS 3 Series fuzz. I love that thing. I think it sounds better on bass than it does on guitar, honestly. But that's a whole nother video, right? So you got the clean here. I got some scenes set up. There's a scene here where I've got the clean and then it goes to dirty, and that executes a rat distortion here into the chain. So you still got some dry, and then you got also distortion going on too. So it sounds like this. Try and click on that. Those are my settings there. You also notice there's a compressor here too. Those are my settings. It's really a stock setting I have set up. You notice I've already got a preset saved for it. Threshold is at negative 33 dB. Attacks, I don't have a quick attack. I like having my guitar have a little bit of thump to it, so I don't have it attacked right away. So I give it a little bit of cushion there, so that's why it's sitting at 0.4 milliseconds. I've also got a gain of 10 to bring it way back up after it's squished down a little bit. Ratios at 6. I honestly play around with that too, by the way, I admit. Sometimes I'll go down back to 4. It really just depends on what my tone wants to be like that day. Release is at 50 milliseconds. These at 24. It's pretty aggressive. So there you go. There's my compressor settings there. And then you'll notice there's an octave pedal there too. Here's how that sounds. We'll make it clean here first. I'm using a pick as well, if you're wondering. I go back and forth between pick and finger. Pick just sounds better for rock, I think. But if you're going for more bluesy, jazzy kind of tones, some slap, maybe a little bit of funk, definitely want to go finger, I think. Anyway, so there you go. That's what the Ampeg sounds like. A few of the tones on the Ampeg. Let's go down here. I made a set list for these bass. Now we're going to be looking at my favorite. I really like the Dark Glass preamp. And we'll take a peek at this. What's going on here? A lot going on here. It's a very complicated preamp. If you ever want to really dive into this thing, there are a ton of videos out there on how to dial in some good tones here. But here's a look at mine. This drive is at 61. Distortion level is at 0. Now I have a scene set up where I change it from a distortion level to 0. I'll show you what happens here. Change the scene. Now let's go back into here. Now distortion level is at 50. Notice I changed the preset from bass dirt, from bass clean. Change that back. So now you got a bass of 2.2 dB, low mid's at 7.7 dB, low mid frequency is at 500. Nice thing about the Headrush MX5, the real thing only has 3 different kinds of selections for those frequencies. You have, I should have looked at this before I showed this video, but there's only 3 settings. I actually have it mimicking those settings roughly, but you can, you have an option to pick whatever setting you want. So you don't have to get precise like what the pedal is. Anyway, low mid frequency is at 500 hertz. High mid is at 4.7 dB. High mid frequency is at 3000 hertz. Treble is cranked at 11.5. Attack is in the middle. Grunt, low imp. There you go. Those are my settings for the preamp. And then that preamp, just like the other one, split off again. Let's do the clean tone here. So that's what that sounds like. Do a little dirt. So that's what that sounds like. And then if you want to add some fuzz, this is the octave fuzz. I have this on a scene, by the way, so that's why my switches, I can do the same switch. So I can quickly do octave fuzz. So now I have it on the rat, so then the rat's doing this. So that's that. And then we just go back to clean, and then there you go. And then last but not least, this is the Galen-Kruger. And even this sounds a little bit different. Listen. So you got a little taste of what the Galen-Kruger sounds like. Doesn't have its own dirt channel, so I add a little rat to it if I want. And I can also do little fuzz. And then real quick, I'll show you what the cabs look like. This is the 8x10 blue line. There's a ribbon 12, axis on, out gain -3, amp gain at -1, no breakup. Here's the other one. This one is dynamic 57, axis off. So it's like emulating like if this were the cone, right? Like my finger is like the microphone going in an angle there. Out gain is at -3 dB. Amp gain is at -1. Breakup 0. There you go. I wanted to try to use just Headrush stuff this time instead of trying to use anything outside. Because, you know, I think for a lot of us that use the Headrush MX5, we're probably mostly guitar players, and if we're writing and recording something, you know, we need to throw some bass on there to make it, you know, sound like an actual song. Maybe we got a bass guitar or two lying around that we use to record. Well, you can use this Headrush unit to get some really nice bass tones out of this without having to go dive into some kind of plugins or some kind of, you know, software on your computer. You can just use the hardware right from the MX5, which works really well. And I think it sounds pretty good too. And don't forget, now you can use IRs. If you've got some cab IRs you like, which I know I do, but again, I wanted to stick to what's on here this time. There's a lot of great stuff, but you have a lot of choices here, guys. A lot of choices. And then real quick, I wanted to show you, you know, like I said, there's other amps in here. We did the Elf in one of the previous videos, so that's why I didn't touch on that one. But you got the Trace Elliott Elf that was just added as well. And then you've got the bass Kruger there, and then you've got, let's go through these, flip bass, tweed bass, blue line bass, blue line scoop. Oh, it's at the bottom because they just added them, that's right. And then the 83 400R, and then the Trace Elliott Elf, which is from 2017. So there you go, a lot of options, a lot of things to do, a lot of considerations to make. There you go. This is a little longer one, I apologize. I still hope you learned something. Hopefully this is a good video for you. And with that, rock on. Thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day.